Alright guys, so today we're going to be looking at converting fractions to decimals using long division. So on your paper, you have some notes to fill in, just a few, but I'm going to go over the agenda really quickly. What you're going to do today is you're going to watch the Converting Fractions to Decimals mini lessons, which is exactly what you're doing right now, and you're going to fill in your guided notes page. There is a section for independent practice. What you're going to do is you're going to show your work on the back of your guided notes page for that, and you're going to submit those online. Now that is for a grade, so I need you to take your time and do your very best on that, because those 10 problems are for a grade. Then there is a decimals review posted for you to be working on. That's to help you get ready for the decimals test on Friday. Whatever you don't finish in class today is homework. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to take a look. So it says how to convert fractions to decimals. At the top of your notes paper, there's just one teeny tiny line. To convert a fraction to a decimal, all you have to do is you have to divide the numerator by the denominator of the fraction using long division. So we're going to work on that today. There are some that are going to be a terminating decimal. That means it ends. Then there are going to be some that are non-terminating, and it just goes on forever and ever and ever. And we'll talk about those as we get to them. So the first one we're going to look at is how to convert 5/8 to a decimal. And like I said in the definition, in the directions, all you have to do is take your numerator divided by the denominator using long division. And so in this case, our numerator is a 5 and our denominator is an 8. So our 5 is what's going to go inside as the dividend, and then the 8 is going to be what goes on the outside as your divisor. Now, we can start immediately and we can say 8 goes into 5 0 times. But we can't stop there, okay? So to keep going, what we have to do is we have to add our decimal point, just like you guys know to do. Add your decimal point, bring it up into the quotient, and then we're going to just keep adding zeros until we come to a terminating decimal, or we can identify that it keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. So we're going to add a 0, and now instead of looking at 8 into 5, we can look at 8 into 50. 8 goes into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. Now we can subtract, and we do 50 minus 48, and we get 2. Now, there's not going to be any remainders today, so we're just going to add a 0. 8 goes into 20. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract, and we get a 4. Still no remainder, so we're going to add another 0. Drop it all the way down, and we get 8 goes into, and we're going to repeat the process all over again. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract, and we finally get our 0, and we have a terminating decimal. So 5/8 into a decimal is 0.625. Okay, all right, let's do another one. So the next one we're going to take a look at is 3/4, and we want to turn it into a decimal. Now, I know a lot of you guys already know what the decimal form of 3/4 is, and that's great, but we need to show our work on our paper and show why we get that answer. So when we look at 3/4, okay, we have 3 as our numerator and 4 as our denominator. So 3 is going to be inside the box as our dividend. 4 is going to be outside the box as our divisor. So we know that 4 goes into 3 0 times, but we can't stop there. We have to add a decimal point, and just like we did when we were dividing decimals, we bring it up into the quotient. Now we're going to add zeros until we get a terminating decimal on this one. 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. We subtract, and we get a 2. No remainders, so we're going to add a 0. Drop it down. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract, and we get a 0. So we already knew that, but 3/4 as a fraction is 0.75 as a decimal. Okay, all right, one more all together. We have 7/8, and we want to turn it from a fraction into a decimal. So our numerator is 7, and our denominator is 8. So our numerator, 7, is going to go inside as our dividend, and 8 is going to be our divisor on the outside. 8 goes into 7 0 times. Now we have to add our decimal point, so we can add some zeros. 8 goes into 70. Eight times. 8 times 8 is 64. Now we're going to subtract. 70 minus 64 is a 60. No remainder, so we're going to add another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. We're going to subtract and we get a 4. Still no remainders, add another 0, drop it all the way down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. We subtract and we get a 0. So 7/8 as a decimal is 0.875. Okay. Now, as you keep working, you're going to run across examples like 2/3 and 1/3, and a lot of you guys already know that those are non-terminating decimals. So when we look at these, we would have, if we're changing 1/3, I'm just going to help you out. I think that one's later on your paper, so if you want to look and go ahead and fill it in right now. 1 is going to be our dividend. It's going to be inside the box. And 3 is going to be our divisor. 3 goes into 1 0 times. 3 goes up. We got to bring our decimal point up and into the quotient. 3 goes into 10 3 times. We get a 9. And we subtract and we get a 1. Add a 0, drop it down. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract and we get a 1. Add a 0, drop it down. Can anybody see a pattern so far? No matter what we do, okay, we're going to get a 3 every single time. So you can write that 2 different ways. You can just do a dot, dot, dot like this out to the side, or you can put the bar over the 3 and say that that's going to keep repeating forever. Okay, now I will tell you there are some that start repeating after a couple of digits, so I want you to take each decimal out 4 times before you decide whether it's non-terminating or that it's a repeating decimal. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to pause this video and I want you to complete examples 4 through 9 on your own paper. All by yourself. I want you to show all of your work. When you're finished, I want you to click play to check your answers before moving on to the independent practice. So right now, I want you to click pause, leave your video up, and work on questions 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. When you're ready, click play, check your answers. All right, so check your answers. For question 4, 9/25 is going to give us a decimal of 0.36. Number 5, 2/5. You can either have 0.4 or 0.40. Number 6, already did 1/3 with you, but the decimal is 0.333 repeating. Number 7, 2/3 is 0.66666 repeating forever. Number 8, 5/15. Actually, 5/15 simplifies to 1/3, so some of you might have caught that. But the decimal form is 0.333 repeating. And then number 9, 7/12 is 0.583333 repeating. Okay? So if you just have 0.583, that's not going to get you the correct answer. Okay? So what I need you to do now is I want you to flip it over and I want you to start on the independent practice on the back. You're going to show all of your work on that paper, and then you're going to submit those answers on Google Classroom. Now, be careful because this is for a grade, okay? The answers online are for a grade. Just keep the work inside your binder, and I'll look at it on Wednesday. When you're finished with that and you submit your answers online, I want you to work on your decimals review that's posted on Google Classroom, okay? So whatever you don't finish in class today is homework, okay? So be ready to submit, to have all of that to turn in on Wednesday when I get back. Okay? All right, and in the meantime, be getting ready for that decimals test. Hope you guys have a great day.